Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sponsors, CROs, and RBM, Getting Aligned for Success, presented by MedPace. I'm Rebecca Friend, the publisher of the Life Sciences Group, and I'll be moderating this webinar. Our speakers today are Dr. David Orloff, MD, the Vice President of Regulatory and Medical Affairs at MedPace, and Dr. Alexander Artemenko, MD, PhD, the Global Director of Late Phase Clinical Operations at MedPace. You can read their full bios on the right side of your window. I've got just a few technical notes before we begin. If you have any trouble reading a slide, please hold and drag the right corner of the slide window to enlarge. Please also disable your pop-up blocker to participate in the interactive parts of the presentation. And please submit your questions during or after the presentations using the Q&A box at the right of your window. Our speakers are going to be following up with any questions via email after the webinar, so please feel free to submit those. All right, I think we're ready to begin. David, please go ahead.
This is Alex who's going to start.
Good morning, this is Alex Artemenko. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you are, and thanks very much for joining this webinar. Some of you may already be familiar with the RBM concept, which stands for risk-based monitoring. So before we dive into details, let's actually define what is RBM and what it is not. To start with, it is actually interesting that the industry, which has historically been quite risk-averse and for a reason, has coined and adopted the term of risk-based monitoring. So to clarify, risk-based monitoring does not imply reduced monitoring. The fact that it is risk-based does not mean it poses additional risk if compared to the traditional monitoring approach we apply. It is not a blanket approach which can be blindly applied to the clinical trial process, but to the